think this is kind of my base case, is that we should head back to this trend line right here, right at the 74,000 marker. So there is some upside still left in Bitcoin. Now, obviously, that would change if we broke and confirmed below this 58,000 and change level. But as long as we hold this, I'm going to maintain a bullish bias near term for a move up to about 73 to 74,000 in the near term. So right around this 1,800 level is going to be the first test for ETH. I think it will get through. It might need to pull back just a little bit, but right now my upside bias is to around this low, which comes right through here, right around 2,000.
Bitcoin just ripped $5,000 higher, and one number now decides if this rally survives or collapses. Bitcoin just made a move that has traders paying close attention. Gareth Soloway, a respected technical trader, just dropped fresh insights into where Bitcoin is headed next, and the setup is heating up. Bitcoin staged a powerful rebound. It surged from roughly $57,800 to $62,700. That's a serious bounce. The rally is now knocking on a minor resistance level, and Soloway believes there's still more upside left in the tank. Right now, Bitcoin trades at $62,876.92 against the US dollar. Market cap stands at a massive $1.3 trillion. Trading volume over the last 24 hours hit $17.5 billion. This market is wide awake. Soloway's base case is bold. Bitcoin rallying toward the $73,000 to $74,000 range. But there's a condition. This bullish outlook only holds if Bitcoin stays above the $58,000 support. Break that level below, and the whole thesis falls apart. That $73,000 to $74,000 zone isn't random. It's been a historic battleground for Bitcoin. Analysts agree breaking through and consolidating above this range is the real key to unlocking the next major rally. Spot ETF inflows and derivatives short squeezes are the fuel behind that breakout. There's another piece to this puzzle. Capital has been rotating out of semiconductor stocks and straight into crypto, giving Bitcoin's recovery real momentum. But a warning loom: if fear grips global markets, investors could dump risk assets fast, triggering one final capitulation across Bitcoin and altcoins before the next real move higher. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over. Before you dive in, hit that subscribe button. We're building this channel one Bitcoiner at a time, and your support gets us closer to 1,000 subscribers.
Great bounce in Bitcoin here, going from about 57,800 back to about 62,700. Now, the question is, do we have more upside? I would argue we likely do, but you are getting into some resistance. You might say, well, let me see, where's that resistance? And as always, I love to show you guys this. So see this initial pop and pullback and this low. So that low now, as of now, it's only minor resistance, but that is exactly where we're running into right now. You can see current price right there. Now, the reason why I think there's more legs to this is mainly because of sentiment, right? So if we look at sentiment, sentiment is so important because it measures the psychological nature of the market, in this case, crypto. And so I mentioned this in some of my previous videos when I was kind of saying down in this sub 60,000 range that we could be due for a bounce or a rally in crypto. The comments in YouTube, which are an amazing technical indicator of psychology, they were unbelievably bearish, calling for zero. It has no worth. It has no this. And frankly, I'm not someone that should pass judgment on whether or not Bitcoin or altcoins have worth. I don't care, frankly. I'm here to trade the short-term move. And so when I see signals like that, it tells me there's a high probability as a technical psychology signal that you're going to get a move to the upside. In other words, people are too lopsided on the asset. And I think that's really what's happened. Now, in terms of upside, what I'm really looking for, and I think this is kind of my base case, is that we should head back to this trend line right here, right at the 74,000 marker. So there is some upside still left in Bitcoin. Now, obviously, that would change if we broke and confirmed below this 1,000 and change level. But as long as we hold this, I'm going to maintain a bullish bias near term for a move up to about 73 to 74,000 in the near term. Now, ultimately, do I think eventually we break down? I do. I still think there's further downside in the bear market of Bitcoin, but a couple things have come to pass that I predicted. One was when we saw the semiconductors sell off, you would see money flow back into crypto. And it's only a near-term thing, right? Because, you'll get bounces in the semis, and ultimately I still think that if money starts getting scared enough, it's not going to go to crypto. It's not going to go to, biotech or even gold or silver. In the near term, you'll see everything sell off. And that's where you get that final flush out on Bitcoin and the altcoins. We're in phase number 2 of Bitcoin, right? And to do that, really what you want to do is you take your all-time high here and we drag it down to the secondary pivot, right? And this is a pivot because you have essentially a move up and then you have a move down, right? And so anytime you have kind of like a mountain peak, that would be a pivot where on either side it is lower. We drag this down here, right? And ultimately, if we do that and we drag it down, we get, what do we get? We get this pivot low right there. Look at how it came down and retested. Now, phase number 1 in Bitcoin was the weakest. That's the most detrimental, right? Big drop, bounce, drop. Phase number 2 occurred when we crossed over this midline, and we're now in phase number 2. In general, I would think we probably have to tag this downsloping line twice before that bottom is put in. So it still leaves room for one more flush out at some point in the future down to that line. And I'm going to be keeping an eye on that line very, very closely.
Ethereum and Solana are both flashing signals right now, and traders are watching closely. Gareth Soloway believes Ethereum's rally isn't over yet. Ethereum is approaching its first key resistance near $1,800. He expects a brief pullback right at this level before the rally pushes higher. His near-term target sits at around $2,000. That's where Ethereum could hit major resistance, and where Soloway will start reassessing the strength of this move. Right now, Ethereum trades between $1,617 and $1,626. On the weekly chart, $1,100 has been held as a floor since 2021. The $2,000 level marks a recent pivot point. Higher up, $2,900 sits as a mid-level marker, and $3,900 lines up with resistance from past rally cycles. Now to Solana. Soloway flags $75 as critical support. If Solana holds above this level and its trend line stays intact, he sees any retracement as a strong buying opportunity. Solana is under bullish pressure right now after breaking through a key resistance zone, the intersection of the $75 trend line from January and the 50% Fibonacci correction of May's downward move. With the current impulse wave holding strong and bullish sentiment sweeping across crypto today, Solana looks set to push toward its next target, $90. Let's get back to the video.
And I pointed out that this trend line, so this is your cycle trend line, your midpoint line, right? So this is that phase 1 was below the line. Phase 2 was above the line. We come back and we check it in, very similar to Bitcoin. But you can connect these, and all of a sudden we get a near-term breakout. And look at how this trend line is parallel. The parallels are to that important because that, it's essentially is showing you that there's order because it tells you there's structure to the down. We all look at a chart and we're like, yeah, it's just going up. When you have parallel lines, further down and then up, and then, but there's actually an order to that. And when you discover that order and you can find a parallel line that's broken out, it usually gives you more probability. And remember, I discuss everything in my videos in the world of probabilities that you actually have something major here. And that's exactly what we have with ETH, right? So if we go back to the chart here, there's your break, and look at the move already starting on ETH. And sure enough, and let me just zoom in again to it, we've already had a beautiful move. Do I think it's over? No, I don't think it's over yet, but we are coming into this area right here, right? So right around this 1800 level is going to be the first test for ETH. I think it will get through. It might need to pull back just a little bit, but right now my upside bias is to around this low, which comes right through here, right around 2000. If we get to about 2000, that'll be where I start to say, okay, this is more likely where we're going to run into some major resistance. While most coins had pulled back dramatically, and even Bitcoin had made a lower low, right? From the low over here, if we go back to Bitcoin, and I love showing this. So here's that low on Bitcoin over here. And look, we made lower lows. But if you look at Solana, Solana hadn't. Here's your low, and here's a higher low. So it showed relative strength. And sure enough, did we have a wedge pattern? It's not as far reaching as prior, but absolutely. And there's your breakout. Now, it looks like you're starting to pull back. So there might be a pullback. These highs with this trend line will now be technical support around $75 per coin or per token here. That would be a pullback buying opportunity on a retrace. As long as this level holds, as long as this trend line holds, that should be a buyable opportunity on a retrace. So these are all things that we can always be watching for. And again, there's so many opportunities when you start to learn how charts work and the structure. And again, this is what it's all about, folks, is just being able to really isolate down what is probable. And when I say probable, I don't mean like 51% to 49. I'm talking like I look, if I'm going to take a trade, I'm taking 70% or greater probability. And again, there's no such thing as 100%, right? We know that, or at least I hope we all know that. Unless you have insider information, but we can still get our probabilities up significantly.
Bitcoin is entering a decisive phase where every move could shape the next trend. While Bitcoin is showing signs of strength, Ethereum, ETH, and Solana, SOL, are also displaying encouraging technical signals that deserve attention. Even so, important resistance levels still lie ahead, making patience and discipline essential. Investors should focus on market structure, key price levels, and overall sentiment instead of reacting to short-term noise, as the coming weeks could present some of the best opportunities across Bitcoin and the broader crypto market. Do you think Bitcoin will break above its key resistance, or is another major correction still ahead? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana market insights. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.